Alright, on this video we're going to talk about bassoon reeds. So the bassoon plays on what is called a double reed. That's different than the clarinet or the saxophone, which play on single reeds. Single reeds makes sense. It's just one piece of cane. It's a pretty simple mechanism for producing sound. Our reeds are a little bit more complicated, and because of that, they tend to be a little bit more expensive. I want to show you just a little bit about the steps that a bassoon reed goes through. So it grows as a plant related to bamboo. It looks like big, tall stalks of cane. They grow in a field. A lot of the cane that we play on grows in France. But you can find the cane in Turkey and Argentina and China. And so these farmers that grow this cane will then cut the cane down, let it dry for years and years and years before they ever turn it into a reed. Once the cane is dried for a few years, they cut it down into small tubes, split the tubes, then they run it through a few machines until it looks kind of like an unfolded bassoon reed. The reed maker will fold it over, add some wires, cut the tip, and shave it a little bit until it plays. So let's talk about your reeds. So I keep my reeds in a reed case because I want to keep my reeds safe. The best kind of reed cases are ones that hold your reeds in these little soft holders, because every time you play it, you want it to dry out afterwards, and that's going to extend the life of the reed. So when you have what is called a ribbon style case, it holds the reed on the sides and leaves the ends of the reed open so air can pass through, dries out better, the reed will last longer. So anytime we use our reed, we're going to take it out of our case. We're going to be very careful with it. We're going to be very careful with the end part because it's delicate, it can break. We don't want to bang it against anything, our teeth, our face, our friends, our stands, our instrument. So just always be aware of where it is. Before we play, we're going to drop it in water. Okay, so I've got a little coffee cup here full of water. I'm going to plop it in there. You can also use something like an old pill bottle that you've washed out with soap and water. Tupperware, you can find reed soakers at lots of online music stores or at your local music store. The point of soaking it is that water helps the reed bend. And since we're going to try to make a sound vibration with our reed, we want it to be pliable or bendable. We don't want to soak the reed in our mouth, though, because our saliva, while wet, doesn't get into the reed as well as water does. So that's number one. And number two, and more importantly, your saliva is part of your digestive process. It's actually going to start breaking your reed down if that is the only moisture the reed comes into contact with. So since we're trying to keep our reeds around for a while, you want to make sure that you are soaking your reeds in water and not in something that's going to break it down. Soak your reed for 30 seconds to a minute, about as long as it takes to put the bassoon together. You might find that while you're playing, you will need to occasionally dip your reed back in water just to keep it moist and working. Once you soak it, it's ready to go. Take it out. If there's any moisture, you can just kind of fling it off, and then you're ready to play on your reed. Once you're done with your reed, you're going to want to blow out any extra moisture. I'm going to put my mouth on the back end, and just like we did with our bocal, if you have a swab or a towel or something, just blow into that. I'm just blowing it on my hand. Okay, I'm going to wipe off any extra moisture, and then I will put my reed back in my reed case, being very careful, and put it away.